Good morning, everybody. It's now the next day, a couple of days later, and yesterday I edited and tried to post the latest podcast, but something went wrong. It didn't upload, so I'm trying to redo it now. It's like Sunday morning, and we've got Agita nicely settled here, and we've got the boys nicely settled in here. And later today, I'm thinking of taking that car. There's a car show in the nearby town, so I'm going to take the old car there. And I've got the thing. I put the laptop up there to be closer to the modem rather than the study, and hopefully it'll upload this time. I don't know what went wrong last night. So, hello everybody. I'm here at the car show in a nearby town, and the Mercedes is over there. This is a much bigger show than the ones at the A&W in our town. And there's some very nice cars here. I parked the Mercedes over there. There's a beautiful, beautiful Rolls Royce 2001 in the corner there at the back. It's a dark blue. And there's a Mercedes there, right there, So I didn't even really wash it. I just brought it, and, So I'm going to have a look around, and I'll go inside and have something to eat. So there's the Mercedes, and I got my name on it and stuff. So, rechanneling, talk to my neighbor. I had the most recent podcast ready, tried to post it last night, it didn't load. It gets to 99% and then freezes. So I tried to repost it this morning, froze again. So I brought it with me. I've got my buddy, I fed the ferals, fed the kids, and I made a morning journal entry, spent some time with the kids, and then task I've been sort of postponing, a feral chore. Their bedding was a little dirty, so I took it actually to the laundromat. That's the soap water, and I washed it twice, And I went and had breakfast. Well, sort of the sketchy area of town. My neighbor said there is a laundromat in a less sketchy area, but I didn't know about it. But anyway, I sort of enjoyed being in the sketchy area of town for completely legitimate purposes. So I washed them; they came out very nice and clean, And I just it's a bit of a hassle getting them back onto the pads and getting them in, but and then you lift up like that from Velcro. So I removed that, and I got you got to get the cord through the little hole there, but I did that for this one and that one. I'm going to do those two. And then I also did some of the less dirty, the really dirty bedding I'm just going to throw out, but the less dirty bedding, I just washed them in lots of hot water and soap. So, the pet blankets and things, so I'm going to spread everything out in here. I was going to rearrange the shed a bit so we can keep the store open, but I don't want to alter their thing too much all at once. So right now, just going to get them used to, shelters and all that are back, or back in place, and they're, start plugging them in when it gets cold, and there'll be new bedding, and eventually I do want to move things around a bit so that we can keep that door shut, and just leave this one slightly open, and this one's under the awning, so this is a better one to leave open. Snow or rain won't go in. Hopefully. We've got a curtain here too, so okay, there's Peanut there, and I just saw Joe a little while ago. I think I saw Bcee, and this is inside the shed. Those things are washed. I put some treats on, and I washed those. I washed the one there on the wheelbarrow. Bcee sometimes likes to use in winter, and somebody's been in there. I think I put treats on there as well, and those got eaten, but there's still treats on the other beds. And I put a clean blanket in that thing. I don't know if they actually use it, So we got everything sort of set up pretty much for the winter. And I got the cords here. So whenever it gets cooler, maybe even tonight, everything's set up. I just have to plug in the cord. Good morning, everybody. It's now the next day. Agita's there. And both the boys are there looking out the catio window. It's very pleasant. Very pleasant outside, So it was a little warmish in here with the sun, but with the windows open and the breeze, it's very nice in here. Okay, we had a good night, and last night my neighbors sent over some more food because they had another event. They have a lot of events, and one of the people there was a vegetarian, so my neighbor had made a vegetarian chili, and she sent it over, and it was absolutely delicious. And she also sent over some dessert, and so I had a very, very nice meal, and just stayed in with the kids and did a little bit of reading and worked in journal entries. Didn't start the writing about the casino that I wanted to, but it's okay. I'm keeping up with the entries and I'm doing the other things. I will start that eventually, maybe even today. But I looked over material because I got so much details in the journal entries about the actual each experience, because after every day I write really detailed entries. So I was looking over that just to get a timeline and how it progressed and all of that stuff, and how it also linked to the other thing. In terms of being the controlled burn and they got out of control, and when it happened and all of that stuff. So I've been sort of working on it, and I did some reading and got up in the morning. Hello everybody, it's later in the day. We've got Lcee nicely settled here. Yeah, Lcee. Finn there under the bed, and I've just been vacuuming, so Finn is not taking any chances. He's staying under the bed, and Agita's there, and all three of my ferals very, very nicely settled there, and another family member, their family member, biological family member back there. That's Jack. He's slithering in the backyard. As my neighbor would say, she started using my language now. It's like Jack is slithering, and his biological family is here, and my inside kids are all nicely settled. I did some writing today. I started a story about the casino. Just a little background, 3-4 pages. Just got started. It's very channeling. It's kind of, it's a little less triggering than the other writing, so it keeps me busy. I'd say it's just over a week clear of the casinos. And there was a little bit of pull for the other thing, morning, but I rechanneled, looked after the kids, looked after the frills, and started writing, the casino story. So that's what's happening. Bye for now. Everybody, it's later in the day. We've got Agita there, and we've got both the boys settled under the bed there, the corner there. And we've got two of the frills there. One that's Jill is going that way, and there's Bcee very nicely settled there, and Jill Peanut must be under that bush. That's one of her favorite spots. Now, the news is that I had a good day, I suppose, with the kids at home. I didn't go out anywhere. I was planning on going to PetSmart. We've got lots of cats. We're always looking for new toppers and stuff like that. And then I was going to have a fast food lunch and come back and try to do some writing. I started the casino story yesterday, first 3-4 pages, just background. When I first started gambling and how it progressed, and the first ban I signed, sub-ban, 25 years ago. So I just started with that yesterday, and stayed home with the kids, read, fed the kids, of course, did laundry, the usual stuff, and then had a good night. In the morning, there were polls, because, the casino thing is completely out now, so it's, kind of expected to post the other thing, but it's okay, I made it. And I was planning on, as I said, I fed the kids, I fed the ferals, I was planning on going out to have lunch and then come back and do some writing. And then this guy stopped, another neighbor, not from that side, 6-7 houses up. And he saw the old Mercedes on the driveway, and he's a car person. He's got an old Porsche and a BMW, and he's thinking of buying this model, but a diesel. He's looking around, and he wants one that he can use, not in winter, but for daily use, running around and stuff. And they're supposed to be very, very reliable. So I ended up talking to him for about psychology and cars for an hour and a half in the driveway, even though he was in a rush, he had to go. And then after that, I got a little peopled out, and I needed to decompress. So I just relaxed with the kids, the bed, took a cat nap. And this is the big news here. I'm cooking. Maybe the first time in the house. First time since the renovation for sure. I might have cooked once or twice last year. But this is the first time I'm cooking since the renovation, and in many, many months. And I got all the ingredients, and this is like cooking from scratch, not just reheating something or adding something to so I'm I cut all the onions. I did a cooking video 4 or 5 years ago. It's still on YouTube. Nutty Professor cooks an impossible kimagobi, and that's my signature dish. So that's what I'm making today. That's the impossible meat. So that's not meat. That's plant, ground quote, beef unquote, and a cauliflower, that's gobi. And I got fresh, I used fresh ginger and garlic. And I also used this. I used both, the already ground up ones that you can get in Indian stores. And then just making masala here. I'm going to put in the spices. And then I've got chilies there, and I love more chilies. I'm going to make it nice and spicy. I'm doing it for myself. So, something to keep busy at. When I told my neighbor, I bought the new pots and pans, and they were sitting in the box until today on the counter. And when I told my neighbor that, I bought the pots and pans, he was a bit skeptical. He goes, yeah, cooking might be a good hobby for you to take up. And I go, actually, I do cook. I'm actually a really good cook. I go, of very specific things, So we've got one of the boys there. You got Agita running that way, and the other boy's still under the bed there. So finally opened my new box of pots and pans, and I'm cooking. First time I've cooked in a very long time. Impossible kima, so I haven't put that. I added it yet, but I put in and those are homegrown fresh tomatoes from my neighbor who brought them over a week or two ago, but they were fine. They're in the fridge. And this is cauliflower I bought, and I'm going to add the impossible kima. Just really plant-based ground beef, quote unquote, and I put some jalapenos and some green chilies, and I'm just going to add that and let it simmer and then go and feed the girls, feed the kids, and then eat myself. I haven't had lunch, so this is my first meal of the day. Bye for now. Everybody, it's now the next day, and we've got Agita on that chair. Lcee there, looking at the front. Agita is growling. That's just being Agita. And the other boy is being safe. Finn inside, watching everything from here. So, had a good night. Exchanged texts with a former student friend, my former podcast producer in the morning, and fed the kids. And wanted to try to get back to the writing about the gambling, but I'm not sure. I'm just doing journal entries right now. And then I went for a walk in the day, had lunch, spent some time with the kids, tried to do a little bit of writing, just kind of free association stuff. And fed the ferals because it's going to get dark. And I came out and it's the same people, same cars, just a BMW. I don't feel like the veggie burger anymore. I've got food at home. So I just came and talked to a couple of guys. There's a major car show on Saturday at a high-end auction place near. It's a nice, very old car turned into a hot rod. If you're into that kind of thing. Not really my thing. Bye for now. Hello everybody, it's the next day. Agita's nicely settled there. One of the boys settled here, and I think this is Finn. Yes, it's Finn. And the other boy settled there very nicely. That is Lcee. And I brought the other car. It's up there, Now, all three ferals there. And they usually are. It's a nice day, the afternoon. So we got Bcee, Peanut, and Jill. And I'm not going to disturb them. I'm not going to tap on the window. They're very nicely settled. So outside family there, inside family here. And had a good night. There were some pulls. There were some pulls at night, But it was okay. I stayed in with the kids, did some reading, watched some streaming. And in the morning, the pulls were better. Yeah, busy, fed the kids, fed the ferals, did everything. Went out, had lunch, switched cars, So I had a time lunch and switched cars. I brought this one because I'm planning on taking it to a car show tomorrow, And then, hey everybody, for me it's really early. I think it's before 9 even. But this is a very famous auction house, kind of, very, very famous, like Jay Leno comes here. He's friends with the owner and he buys cars, like $1 million cars from here and on consignment and stuff. So, in the summers they have an open house and you can bring your own classic cars. I saw all of these people and myself, and they waved, and regular cars can come too and they park over there. So there's a woman standing in the front and she waved me into the classic area because they've got an old car, and there's Corvettes and there's all kinds of things. So these are all from around here, even from some distance, So I'm going to see if I can find a parking spot. Bye for now. Here I am. I found a parking spot that's in between two Corvettes. A brand new one, a very, very new late model one. This is the one with the engine in the back. It's more like a Ferrari. And then this one is the one model after mine. So I think this is like a 2000, 2001, 2002. Mine's a 89. So it's in good company. We got Porsches, we got Maseratis, we got, and a lot of cars here. All kinds. And it goes around that way. And this is all the property of that RM. They're a very famous auction house, high-end cars. As I said, Jay Leno comes here. He buys cars here, sells them. I don't know if he sells them. I don't think he ever sells cars. He just buys. And he's good friends with the owner of this place. So we'll see what's inside. Bye for now. Probably belong, I think, to the auction place because, oh no, there is a license plate in the back. That one doesn't have a license plate, and in the front, the very exotic cars like that, McLarens or whatever that thing is, I think they belong to the auction people, or to on consignment or whatever. I mean, this is like $1 million car. I don't know. I have no idea. This is like just too over the top, fancy, ridiculous for me. It's like a Batmobile thing. Yeah, it is a McLaren. They're very, very, very expensive. I know that much. So probably $1 million. Which I think is personally completely insane. Anyway, have a quick look around, and I've got to go get free coffee. Free coffee. For sale. I think it's somebody who's brought it here for the show. They've got a for sale sign there. I kind of like it. It's sort of. I actually was interested in one of these 6 Series BMW, but I would go a little bit older. This one's probably, I don't know, 2010, 2015. I would go 2006, 2007. It's the same shape. There's an old Lincoln there. But so this one's going to be out of my budget. So I'm not even going to call or anything. But it's a nice car. I like this model of BMW, the 6 Series Coupe. The model is mine, but not a convertible. It's got the Targa top, removable top thing. But they have the same wheels. They're aluminum. They've painted them white to match the car. I don't know, or maybe it came that way from the factory, but it looks actually quite nice with the white and black. With my car also, it's the white and black combination. I got the black convertible tops. Something to consider. I'll have to look into that. That looks really, really nice. Look, there's a Mini Cooper. I mean, I can bring pretty much any of my cars, except possibly the Pacifica. Maybe even that. It's almost 20 years old now. So it was. There's a Mini Cooper. It's newer than mine, but it's done. It's fancy model. Shit, these are their own cars, or the consignment cars, are the ones that they put up for auction or whatever. As I said, these are like Jay Leno and people buy from here. So like I've been told, famous people come to Chatham just to buy some of these cars. Some beauties. My friend over there, I'll have to take a picture of that. You can't get closer because they're closed off. But there's my friend's husband is into Volkswagen buses, so there's a very, very nice one there. But you can't get closer. All kinds of like Jaguars and Maseratis and Rolls Royces and Lamborghinis and Ferraris and old cars. It's really quite amazing. A new Corvette. I know my neighbor likes the new ones very much, and I sent a picture going mine right beside the brand new one. I go, I prefer mine. It's got more character. But then I also realized that's ego-defense mechanisms of rationalization and psychological concept of cognitive dissonance reduction and all that stuff. But whatever, somebody gave me one of those. I'd certainly take it. But anyway, I prefer mine. Yeah, right. Anyway. Bye for now. This is the new thing. I've seen it on car shows and things on television that, people are now not actually restoring and painting them. They're leaving the cars in pretty much the condition that they found them, except, making them running. But they call this patina, the rust and the whatever, the interior. I think the interior has been redone. This is like, but they left the outside patina, they call it. I don't know. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but anyway, each to their own. Hello everybody, I'm at yet another car show. This is in scenic Townsville, Ontario. It's about 20 minutes from Chatham, and it's pretty close to where I store the cars. So I left that fancy place where they had the RM auction house, and I left their show and I came here, and I recognized some cars. So some other people came here too, and they've closed down the street. This is how they do it in the small towns. They closed down the street, and I was trying to get in there, and all the side streets are blocked, and they've got kids, teenagers at each one, just with barricades, to keep regular cars from coming in, and just to regulate traffic, and because we've got a lot of pedestrians and stuff here. So they were asking, So there were two human kids, I don't know, teenagers, and they were sitting there, and they said, "Why didn't you just park here?" It's like the last car there. So I parked, and they're admiring the car, and they go, what's his name? And I go, I don't name my cars. I have a policy not to name my cars, and and they're like, "Oh, you should name it, like White Tiger or something." And one of them is like, "Oh, that's my favorite car here." I'm not all that fond of human kids, but these ones are very sweet, So I'm now, I'm gonna have something to eat. I haven't had breakfast yet, and I know my car is safe. And I told them, I said, if it starts raining, you can put up the hood. And I showed them how to do it. And I said, if I leave the keys, you might disappear with it. They were laughing. Nice kids. Buddy, I finished my breakfast, and really friendly here. And I was asking about the hot sauces inside, and she said, "Oh, there's a hot sauce booth outside." So I go to the hot sauce booth, and they make them themselves, and he did a little taste testing for me, from the lowest to hottest. Shit, my mouth is still burning. All of them together. They just squirt a little bit on a chip, and they give it to you, and they're just great. And so, but it was good. So I bought one. I bought that one. They're homemade. They make them here. And this one's got a chipotle base and ghost pepper sauce. So it's pretty good, Hello everybody, it's now the next day, and had a good night with the kids. Got up in the morning, and my former contractor, the one who took so long in the previous house, showed up, and he hasn't been here in a while. He hasn't visited in a while, but he was sick, and I knew he was sick. I left a message for him a while ago, and then you're back, and then but he showed up, and it was nice. Caught up with him, showed him. Didn't say that the guy did my kitchen in a week. That my cat rescue friend in Toronto goes. The other one would take 7 years. This one did in 7 days. But anyway, I'm still very very fond of this. We're friends. Besides all of that, so it was nice to see him again and catch up. And I don't hold much back from him, just some more sordid details. But he knows about the cycles of the binges and all of that stuff, and the general gist. So when I told him that the polls have been ramping up, but I've been rechanneling with the car stuff, he kind of got it. He knew the guy who runs that restores the old Mercedes, so we might go up and see his car sometime. So it was nice, caught up, and then I felt a lot better after that. And I fed the kids, fed the Fiddles. I've come out for a very late lunch here at Wimpy's, and then I'll go to PetSmart, Pet Value, and back to the kids, and try to do some non-journal writing. Hello everybody, it's later in the day, and we've got Agita nicely settled there. We've got one of the boys, and this is Finn, just coming out of the closet because he insisted I open it. Went in for a minute, and now he's come out. And we've got Lcee here watching. That's Jill, and Jill is watching very carefully. And there's Bcee, and Bcee is watching carefully too. So those are the outside kids, sweetheart. He's more interested in the closet and stuff. Those are your outside siblings, sweetheart. That's Jill, and that's Bcee. They're sweeties, even though they don't come within 20 feet of your father if I'm outside. They're different kind of cats. They're semi-ferals. Sort of like Dad sometimes when Daddy slithers, So anyway, they're actually better behaved. I've discussed this with my neighbor. They're actually better behaved than I am because they don't leave the backyard. They're just nicely on on the back deck. And I haven't seen, I saw Peanut a little bit earlier, so she must be just over there, somewhere up against the wall, so you can't see her from inside, or under the deck, or in the bush, you know. So, I'm just going to be doing a little writing here, just journal entries and a little catching up on other writing if I can, and then I'll go out and I'll feed the ferals, and I'll feed the kids, and just stay in. And today was one of the better days, because my former contractor and friend showed up, and I haven't seen him in a long time. He's been ready. It's the next day, and we've got one of the boys there. I think this one is Lcee. One of the boys there, and I think that's Finn. Not. It's back there. And we've got Agita there, you know, very, very comfortably settled. Earlier, one of the boys got a little too close to her, and she was in hysterics as usual, and I felt a little better, because yesterday she seemed a little down, and that, you know, she was wobbling a bit more than usual. She was being friendly, well, not so much to her brothers, but she didn't attack them for a few hours, so I was like going, that's not quite, you know, something's wrong there. It's not feeling well. And then she was being very friendly with me. She actually came and climbed on my chest and purred, and I was getting a bit worried. But today, I mean, she had a good night's sleep, and today she's more herself. And she's allowing, she does do this, though. If there is social distance, and if he approaches, you know, carefully and stays on this side of the bed, she does allow it, particularly when I go out. But earlier, one of the boys tried to get too close, and there was, you know, she was like hissing and screaming and attacking, and I'm like, oh, okay, she's feeling better. So yesterday, I went out, I did some shopping, you know, PetSmart and Pet Value, and came back, and I sponge bought the cars, bathed the cars just on the driveway, not a proper wash, but just bucket and water. And I spent some nice, family time with the kids. I fed the ferals, fed the kids, did a little writing, at least started, and then I was exchanging texts with a friend, and watched some TV, went to bed today, exchanged emails with a friend, fed the ferals, fed the kids, the usual stuff, you know. And I felt a bit better because Agita was, you know, she's being unpleasant to her brothers, and that's more normal. So, and then I went for a walk. I went and had a lunch, Korean lunch, and I got to take out for later. So, you know, I hate to say it, because when I say it, it usually means trouble, but, you know, you're asking for it, as I said before, but pulls have been lower the last couple of days. And I think it's, hello everybody, good morning. It's the next day. It is actually morning, so 10, 11 for me this morning. Got up early today. So we've got Agita there. And we've got both the boys here. And that one, Lcee, is very intently watching, I think, a chipmunk or a squirrel there running that way. So it went that way, sweetie. So yesterday, I might have tipped a little bit. It was an okay day. And in the evening, I did a little bit of writing. It's all over the place, but, you know, just to keep writing, you know, stuff besides journal entries. And after that, I watched some streaming, fed the kids, fed the ferals, all of that stuff. Well, fed the kids, fed the ferals, then watched some streaming, and did a little bit of reading. But then the pulls really ramped up, you know, because it's, you know, it's more than 2 weeks since the casino thing, so that's not an outlet anymore, and it's been 2.5 months since a major binge, you know. There was a rebound binge, well, just like 10 days later, and then, so that's like 2 months now. And then there was a very minor binge, like, you know, so a blip, so maybe a month ago. But really, it you know, in terms of the cycles, we are reaching the peak. I mean, 2 months, 2.5 months, you know, and since a really, really, really deep binge, shadowy. So I just battled it, you know, didn't contact, and, you know, I did check the postings, but I didn't actually, you know, go any further. And then today, in the morning, I'm like going, okay, I've got to deal with this, you know, I've got to do some writing, I've got to do something, you know, but, you know, so I got up early, I brought back the garbage bins, and then I was, 9 o'clock, 9:30, I fed the ferals, I fed the kids, and we haven't been in the, again, settled in our room on the floor. We got Finn here, I think this is Finn. And we've got Lcee watching squirrels. And there was one pretty close. It's gone that way now, but it was pretty close on the grass. I'm having my tea and toast. Well, just toast. I haven't got the energy to make tea with cola. Everybody, I'm having the muck veggie muck burger thingy. It is like I expected. It's a cutlet rather than impossible, and I think I prefer the impossible burgers at let's say at Burger King for sure. Harvey's is yeah, I like Harvey's. This is something a little different. It is more like a vegetable cutlet. You can taste it's like vegetables like mashed together and fried. It's not bad. I put lots and lots of hot pepper. So that kind of helped. The one I bought from the auto show at the booth. It's a homemade chipotle, very hot, and you can eat anything with it. It tastes great. So, but it's not bad. Actually, not bad. I will get it for an occasional change from a filet of fish. And she talked me into she goes, "You want a apple pie thingy?" And I go, "Yeah, give me one." Yeah. So I'm sitting here in the catio. I just got from drive-through, and I'm sitting here, and I'm just I've already made my journal entries and a little bit of writing, and just today's pushes and pulls, and how so far I've been dealing with the pulls. The main pushes, of course, being my kids, all three inside ones and all three outside ones. So I wrote about all of that, and then I got my veggie burger, which I'm enjoying. It's the next day, or maybe the day after the day I last taped. And Agita settled there in the bedroom, and both the boys are very nicely settled here in the catio with me. And that's Jill. Hi, Jill, sweetie. Hi, Jill. And that is Peanut. Hi, Peanut. And Bcee's favorite spot is usually around there somewhere in the daytime, in the bush, but could be in the back bush, could be like under the deck, but he's back there somewhere. And Agita again there, and boys here. Now, the news is, yesterday I think was a bad day, so you have good days and bad days, but I got through it by using the very last control burn that I have on the table, which is beer and super spicy wings, and I just walked. It's like a block away, so I didn't have to drive, and I had two beers, only 2 beers, but they're like big, like 22 ounces or whatever, and I don't drink a lot these days, so when I have like 2 beers back to back with the wings, technically I think boneless chicken bites or white meat, they're not really wings, but super spicy. So yesterday, the thing is, I think day before, 2-3 days there were polls, but I managed, and busy, kids, journals, reading, even some walks, and some car stuff, and then yesterday morning, actually I think the night before it started ramping up, and then yesterday morning polls were very strong, very strong. Now it does help that there are a few options here, but there's always driving to another city. There can usually find an option if you keep looking, but and I was like, I put everything I had into it. The biggest pushes, obviously, kids. Fed the ferals, fed the kids, spent time with the kids, and then I'm like, okay, I'm still feeling the pulse. So I walked over to the bar, a wings place, and I had, super spicy chicken bites, and 2 big beers. So I kind of staggered home, and then I cat-napped with the kids, and got up and fed the ferals, fed the kids. By that time I'd pretty much sobered up, and I didn't have much, it was only 2 beers, but it's just, I'm not used to, and it was in the daytime, and, I started drinking as I was having the food. I hadn't had anything to eat before. So I kind of, but you'll never guess where I am. I'm the car show. Oh, well, it's not quite slithering, and not even gambling. It's not even, slot machines, but it passes the time, and a lot of the people here, the car owners are, they're junkies in their own way, So, but this one I came around to because my neighbors were volunteering here, and they're involved in community, and they're selling raffle tickets or whatever for raising money. They raise money, their thing. They also raise money for a hospice, and all the money here goes to a good cause to the hospice. So I came, and they said it's a good car show, and so I met my neighbors, and I met my former neighbors. A long time ago when I first bought a country place out, a summer place out in this area. My next door neighbors at the time, and they're car people. So I met them, and so I bought a whole bunch of raffle tickets just as a donation. And been walking around and, looking at the cars and talking to you. It was nice to see my old neighbors again, and and then my new neighbors, and see some of the cars. And that's kind of the other end of Corvette, like a 2017, and then that's a Corvette, No, that's not a Corvette. Looks like one. It's yellow. It's a Trans Am. That's a Corvette, the red one, an old one. There's a lot of Corvettes here. There always are at these things. Yeah. Anyway, but it's nice. Can maybe be the last car show of the season. Now, the news on my end is polls were strong. Day before yesterday, yesterday was better, and I fed the kids, fed the ferals, went out to get some takeout food, went to PetSmart, always helps, and then everybody, I'm at the superstore, and I got a little bit indecisive. I couldn't figure out. Didn't want to eat out. I couldn't find any brunch place that I liked. There's so limited options here. So, and the one or two places that I would have wanted to try closed. So, I just maybe a veggie burger at Burger King, or chicken sandwich at Wendy's, but I didn't eat them a lot. So that's what to do. And then I ended up just coming here with eggs and bread, and I haven't bought eggs in a lot. Earlier, I had taped a little bit at the grocery store, and I ended up getting eggs and bread, and actually fried some eggs at home, which I haven't done in a long time. And I think I mentioned that I was feeling a bit indecisive, and I didn't have much of an appetite. I do realize that those can also be, change in appetite, either eating more or eating less, or not, and indecisiveness can be symptoms of depression. But I've mentioned before that I do find them sometimes when I've been struggling, because there are with addiction and with what I call the pulse. But on the whole, and it's been 2 weeks since I last posted, and I'm trying to get back to the every 2 weeks. It had been 3 weeks before. So it had been 2 weeks, and I do want to post. The news is basically good. Yes, there have been some polls, and that was the whole worry about signing the self-exclusion ban at the casino, because, I was worried it might increase the polls for the other thing. There haven't really been much polls for the casino itself, because I don't have a choice in that. I've signed the ban. I cannot go into any casino in Ontario, otherwise I will be arrested for trespassing. And even if the camera doesn't catch me, and the facial recognition technology is much better now, the people here at the small casino, they all recognize me anyway, and they know I'm banned, the staff. And there's still actually no point whatsoever, because even if the cameras don't catch me, if I win a jackpot, like I had a couple of times during the last couple of weeks of the addiction, but if I win a jackpot, they won't give it to me, They'll charge me with trespassing. So really, there is no choice. I cannot go into a casino. So I was a bit worried that the other polls would increase. They have at times. Not a lot, but they have. There have been strong polls. But I've rechanneled as much as I can. Obviously, I don't even have to mention this at this point, the biggest polls, the biggest pushes are the kids. you got Agita, the boys, and the Feels as well, of course, and Jack, who comes to visit, and Jack, who is a bit more like me than my inside kids, because he's actually, he's more of an adventurer than my so-called ferals, because my ferals don't leave our backyard, whereas Jack likes to explore the neighborhood. So we got we got all these kids, my biggest pushes. But plus, I've been going to car shows a lot. I mean, since I have the cars aren't really my thing. I was into them with my father, put together a collection. I do like cars, but going to car shows and sitting behind them and talking to other people about cars, not my main thing. I will do it occasionally, and there are a couple of shows that were really good, like the one last night or yesterday, because it was for a good cause. It was for the hospice, and I met my neighbors there, and they were involved in the charity, and I met neighbors from years ago. And it was a good show. There was all kinds of cars there. So that was some of the shows I have enjoyed up to a point. But I think I'm kind of done. Car show season is almost over. Is pretty much over now anyway. So I'm like now actually reading, and we've got both the boys watching the rain from the windows here, and Agita has gone back into our room. And now, in addition to the car shows, I mean, there have been other rechannelings, distractions. I actually cooked a vegetarian curry. I haven't cooked in a long time, about a week ago, or a bit more than that. And I've been reading, and I've been watching some streaming and stuff like that. And, so there have been distractions. There has been rechanneling. There have also been fairly strong pulls at times, but I've just kind of pushed through them as always, And it's now, and I see it as a good sign when I stop counting the weeks. But it's been at least 12 weeks since the last 11 weeks, I think, since the last big binge. And then there was in Toronto, and then that went really, really deep on that one. And then there was sort of a rebound binge here a week later. And then there was a mini binge, a micro binge, like a very, very short one, maybe 5 weeks ago. So, well, we're talking about 11, 12 weeks, and that is usually my cycle. It really ramps up. So it did ramp up a bit. It did. And I don't have the gambling, control burn now, because, I can't step foot in the casino, at least for 3 more months, or 2.5 more months. So, and it's, I should also say, 3 weeks clear, almost 3 weeks clear of gambling. But as I said, less choice than that, because, I signed the self-ban. So, I've been trying to keep busy, the car shows, the reading, all the other stuff. There's still been polls, but the pushes have held out, and I am planning a trip to Toronto fairly soon, and my neighbors are very kindly, as always, very, very nice of them, have agreed to look after the fellas, and they look after them so well, that I don't worry about them when I'm not here, because I know they're so well taken care of. And they're actually better behaved than I am. They stay in the backyard. So, and then I did do things like I washed the bedding for the ferals and stuff like that, preparing for winter. And so there was all of that, rechanneling, positive rechanneling, what I call ordinary world stuff, return to ordinary world. There has still been pulse, but that's just the nature of this. I think they will always be there, So just rechanneling, and I am planning the trip fairly soon to Toronto. I have to see my doctor, so as usual, I'll take the inside kids, and neighbors will look after the ferals. And I can't go to a casino there, but I have other things planned. A lunch with a friend, my cat rescuer friend, and things like that. I have to some errands to do, and I want to go to Chinatown. I want to go to art gallery. I didn't go to the art gallery on the last trip because I was too busy with the casino as my distraction. So things like that. So I am looking, and I'm really looking forward to the restaurants. I really miss having a variety. I mean, here there's one sushi restaurant and two Indian restaurants and two Thai restaurants, and I just keep going back to the same places. And so I'm really looking forward to the restaurants. And hopefully, I mean, yeah, the downside is, of course, in Toronto there are more options for the other thing. But I'll just try to keep myself really, really busy with the other things. And it'll be like 3 days, and there's a doctor's appointment, so paws crossed. So that's what's been happening. It's like, it's we're 10, 11 weeks clear, and it gets tough. It's like, it has been tough at times, and I know it's going to get tougher, as we go along. But just going to go, as always, day by day, focus on the pushes. Biggest ones, of course, the kids, but also, and the car show season is just about over, and that's just as well for me because it's getting a bit bored with them. Not really. I mean, yeah, there might be one or two more car shows, but so it sort of worked. But I'm going to buy books in Toronto, so that's the other thing. I want to go to Chapters, buy some books, and do all of that, and keep reading, and try to get back into writing. I've done little bits here and there, but I'm not getting a lot of traction, and I don't want to go into too much detail about the details that I hold back from podcasts, because I don't want that to work as a trigger. Yeah, possibly casino. As I said, I might write about the casino, but I've just been so busy with the other stuff, car shows, all of that stuff. So I think that's all I have to say for now. It's several weeks clear. There was a mini binge maybe 5 weeks ago, and then the last one before that was like 10, 11 weeks. So let's say 11 weeks clear-ish, one micro binge 5 weeks ago, and lots of car shows, and a lot of positive stuff. I mean, of course, looking after the kids, everything else. So, and hoping that the trip to Toronto, paws crossed. As I said, there's always more dangers there because of the, additional options. But hopefully, seeing friends, seeing the doctor, and all of that stuff. So hopefully we'll just keep going, just day by day. So wish me luck. And from the 7 of us, so we've got, that one is Finn, because I can feel the knot. And that one is Lcee. And Agita is there. And from the 3 ferals as well, Peanut, Bcee, and Jill, and I think I have footage of them from before. They're not on the deck now because it's raining, and they're probably under the deck, so I'm probably not going to be able to get footage of them right now. But as I said, I think as always, I must have footage of them that I'm going to edit in. So, from the 7 of us, from the 3 films outside, from Agita, Lcee, and Finn. So, from the 7 of us, and myself, of course, the nuttiest, craziest, most fucked up professor ever walked the face of this earth. Still struggling, but going to do it day by day, as always. Wish me luck. Bye for now. See you next podcast. And I said, Phil should be nice and dry in the shed. Look, Bcee. I think it's semi-stopped. It's still drizzling. It's not dry by any means. So we've got Bcee, and Bcee's seen me watching her, and we've got Jill there. Maybe Peanut is the sanest one. It is actually dry somewhere. Peanut's probably in there, but I'm not going to go out to check because that will disturb the other two, and they will run and hide in the bush or something. So we got the ferals out there, we got Agita there, Finn there, Lcee there. So from the 7 of us, bye for now. See you next podcast. I've just been editing and I'm almost done. And I just wanted to give a check. I showed all of the others, when I was tipping the segment just before this. And it stopped raining. I came out, I saw Jill run that way. And if you look very carefully, under there, you see a kind of a white thingy. That's Peanut. That's sort of a dry spot, So I'm just going to set the thing to save 3D on the phone, and then I'll upload it later. But I'll come and feed you guys just before it gets dark. So I'll be back out in a few minutes. But she's there. She's right there. I knew she'd be in a nice dry spot. And I showed the others a bit earlier. And I showed the other ferals earlier. And there's Agita again. Little bonus footage. Agita again. And the boys here again. And this one is Lcee. No, not. And that one is Finn. So, from the 7 of us, bye for now. See you next podcast.